Hi and welcome to this new video. In today I want to talk to you about 5 things that could be really holding back your company on the use of NetSuite. The first one is dealing with the menu situation. This happens to us very often, meaning people have spent some money getting training from NetSuite directly. And all of the training is done using the classic interface menu. It's transactions, lists, reports, setup, customization, and documents. And so they've got their print screens, they run their tests, but then they come back to the office after 2 weeks ready to work, and they log on as the accountant. And then all of a sudden they realize, oh my God, all the notes I took, they're not making any sense anymore. I'm not seeing transaction, I'm not seeing list, I'm seeing reports, yes, setup, yeah, documents, yes, but I'm not seeing transactions and I'm not seeing lists. So people are usually very frustrated by this, but it's not something that can't be overcome. If you go to Home, Set Preferences, go to Appearance, scroll down, click on Use Classic Interface and click on Save. And voila. Now you're finding the menu that you were using during your NetSuite training, and so you're not frustrated anymore. You can look at all your notes and everything is fine. Now let's have a look at the second point. The second point is understanding that you're not the only one on NetSuite. And NetSuite is not just an ERP for you to get ahead of the crowd. It's an ERP that will make you work with your teams in order to get the best results in the fastest possible way. What I mean by this is that if you're seeing things that could be improved on NetSuite, you could ask your administrator to do something for you, maybe a new dashboard, a couple of save searches, reports, fields, and your administrator might do it herself or himself, or even call a NetSuite consulting firm like us. And we've got a big team, so you ask us to do a field which is missing according to you on a transaction, we'll do it. We'll show you how to do it, or we'll do it for you. What you don't understand is maybe this field was already created with a slightly different name, but for the same purpose. So then what you have is you have a problem, because when entering data, some people will use one field, other people will use another field. So when you're doing your reporting and you want to get your data out using these fields as criteria or dimensions, then you're only going to get half of the story. What I'm saying here is I recommend everyone using NetSuite to get together internally once a week with your own department and discuss how it's been going for the week, what you'd like, and everyone can push their recommendations to what they would like to have, and then it will be done simply once, and then as part of the next steps, shared across the right people. What I mean by this is if it's not shared to the right people, and if the developments are not meaningful, people are going to stop using the ERP. It's not just NetSuite, it's any ERP. People need to understand why these fields are there, why these workflows are there, why they can't have the estimate in 5 seconds, but they have to wait 30 minutes for an approval, and decisions have to be made. Now, this is why I recommend that every time as an administrator, a field, a report, a save search is built, coming from these weekly sessions, that when you create them, I'm going to show you an example. When you create, let's say, an item field, of course, you're going to give it a label. You're going to put an ID. Just think about the developers when you put the ID. If you leave this blank, it's going to give a number and it's going to be a headache afterwards for us. Let's say you wanted that field to appear on all inventory items. You're going to set it on the main section of the inventory item. You're not going to leave it blank, because if you do that, it's going to go on a custom subtab that you can be sure no one will ever go to. But here on the help, This is where you can make a difference. You see, every time you click on a field name, NetSuite, as long as the field is a standard NetSuite field, NetSuite will give you an explanation of what the field is. Now, what you want to do is enter the description of that field, an explanation for it. For example, now everything you entered here is in English. What if you have companies and subsidiaries that are in China, in France, etc.? It's a problem because everything is in English here. These guys, maybe they don't know English. So you can go to translation. And here you can change you can translate the label of the field. For example, and you can even translate the help. Okay, right, so that's one thing. At least now people understand what the field is for, but maybe even if they understand, they don't want to see it. Now you can go to Access and decide which role within your company is supposed to be seeing that. Let's say it's only the sales rep from the UK. Okay, and anyone with that role will be able to edit this field and see it on the Save Searches. But maybe this UKRT sales rep is a role that's used across subsidiaries. But this field should only be showing to to users within one subsidiary. So you can also decide which subsidiary. Well, maybe it won't be North America in that case. Maybe it's going to be the UK, for example. Okay, let's say United Kingdom. And here I'll go to Edit, and I will say Edit Also. Now, what it means is that this field is clearly labeled. We know which item it's referring to. We know where it's going to display on the item. If someone doesn't know what it is, they can click on the field's label and this is what's going to show. Only these people within these roles and departments are going to be able to see it. Now let's say we bring this a step further. Oh, yeah, I forgot about the translation. But let's bring it a step further. Maybe within this subsidiary and within the people using the roles, maybe there are different types of items and each have specific forms to them. And only one item type should see that field name. So if I click on Save and Apply to Form, I can see all the forms that are used by inventory items. You see here are all the forms used. But maybe I don't want all of them to show this field. Maybe anyone within a subsidiary and within a role should only see this new field on this role and no other role. So if I click on Save now, or let's say this one actually is GB, it makes more sense. I'm going to click on Save. And now only people with this role and from that subsidiary will be able to see this field on that form whenever they do a new item. Okay, now let's say that everyone within this subsidiary and using that role, yeah, of course, they will be able to see that field on the items, but maybe you, within the items itself, you want to separate the forms that are being used to create the items. Let's say one of the item type will be different. Both of them might be inventory items, but maybe one inventory item will be different from the other, and you're using forms because some items require more field or different fields to another. So if you click on Save and Apply to Forms, you'll be able to say which form you want this field to appear on, in terms of inventory entry form. Now, just quickly to show you what I meant, we are here on the B2C inventory part, inventory item. So we're seeing that form here with these fields. And we cannot see our field item name. But if I change this and I go to the form with GB on it, I think it was called. Here, if we scroll down, you're going to be able to see the item name here. I'm don't know if you saw it there. There you go. And now if I click on item name, I will see the help that we entered on the item record. Okay, next step. So what is this and why should I use it? I think we already mentioned this on the video. Just because you need it doesn't mean others do. And this is also true for not just fields, but reports. I'm talking about the multiverse of reports here and the workflow. When I'm talking about the multiverse of reports, it means that a lot of people could have the right to customize NetSuite reports, and oftentimes they do. They go to profit and loss, they customize it, but then they don't realize that it's actually saved if they manage to save it. So they go back and recustomize the profit and loss again and again and again. And sometimes many people from different subsidiaries within the group will do the same thing. So you end up with multiple versions of the report, but it's basically the same thing. So you're wasting a lot of time and energy in building things that could have been done just once if there was a team meeting, a team gathering of information and requirements. Even though you're live, it doesn't mean that's over. It doesn't mean that you're live and now there's no requirement ever. No, NetSuite is a living ERP which will evolve as your needs evolve. But you have to make sure that they evolved with the team's requirements, not just yours. Now, yes, let me go back to the report for a second. If I go to reports and I go and customize a report, okay, you will say, okay, well, maybe I would like to save this report and I would like to use it again. So instead of leaving this as custom profit and loss, just give it a meaningful name. Maybe put your family name in there, or put or your country's initials. For France, it would be FR. For the UK, UK. So it could be UK profit and loss. But then when you go to more options here, you will see that you can actually share this to people within specific roles, including yourself. So everyone with these roles will be able to access this report. If you don't want to give access to everyone to this role, what you do is you give access to very specific people in your team. But at least it's an effort to work together. It's not trying to prove yourself as better than everyone else. It's trying to find value in having an ERP that will let everyone bring their own insight and work together to get the best out. And I'm a big believer that 2 brains is better than 1. So work together, and this, I believe, will be key to the success of NetSuite. I hope this video was useful to you. If so, don't forget to leave a like or subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you and goodbye.